Welcome back to another super special edition of Spoiler Country. But instead of Kenric, I have
Kaylee.
Because Kenric is too busy off traveling the world and doing something not cool like a podcast.
Or being responsible and doing this thing.
You know, now I'm the dick again.
You've been a dick all night.
Right?
Your shoe fits.
It does. Oh, shit. I forgot my phone that has the notes that we're talking about. So we've been doing a series of podcast episodes, one for each story, talking to the creators. And today we're going to talk to Greg Smith. You know Greg.
Gregory. I don't know if that's his real name, but I'm assuming it probably is.
It is now.
I know Greg very well, but apparently not well enough to know his real name. Fuck, cut all this out.
No, it's all staying. It's all staying.
Yeah, I know Greg. He's really cool. So is his wife, Anne.
Yeah, they own a store.
They own a super awesome store, but I haven't been there, and if it's half as cool as their fucking house, then it's probably pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, so Greg, so you know we're going to steal your idea of the records down your wall of your stairs. We're stealing that idea for our house, too.
Definitely.
Yeah. I actually talked the recording with Greg. I'm actually in the back office of his store.
Oh, how funny.
So this is for the story called Nate Ersatz and the Skinwalkers, and this story has music by Joey Edsall again. He's done a couple of them for us. And the song you'll hear throughout and at the end of the episode is called Scrybaby. Now let's go ahead and hear what Greg and also artist J. Paul Schiek has to say about story Nate Ersatz and the Skinwalkers.
Thanks, guys.
Monsters are everywhere. They always have been. They lurk, hidden in every shadow. Behind every dark thought. They are probably in your closet, possessing your friends. And they're almost certainly creeping behind you now. They are most often undetectable, and when they're not, it's too late. Throughout time, these monsters have feasted on society, both physically and metaphysically. The chaos they bring fuels a great dark spirit that seeks to end the world with pain and torment. The Eynes are our only hope. The Eynes family has been cursed since before recorded history to detect the presence of these monsters. It is their bound duty to stop these creatures from destroying humanity through any means necessary, be it by sword, spell, or other. Though the Eynes can feel when the creatures are in close proximity, the monsters themselves are also drawn toward the family. But not everything is as it seems. And although the war between the monsters and the Eynes has waged for centuries, the black and white battle lines have grayed over the years. Not all monsters may be considered evil. Not all Eynes are as righteous as one would think. These are the tales of the Eynes family. Visit EynesAnthology.com to find out more. Nate Ersatz and the Skinwalkers. Written by Greg Smith. Art by J. Paul Schiek. Letters by Nikki Powers. The 1980s never looked so good. Nate Ersatz and his sister Kaycey are on the hunt, but they encounter more than they can handle.
All right, we're finally recording.
Oh my gosh!
And wait, it's the Greg and John convention again. Woo woo!
Oh my god, all the time, every time.
And it's going to be happening again because we're going to have Emerald City Comic Con. I'm talking to you again there too.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen in a few weeks. It's happening.
But today we're talking about a story you wrote.
That's right, a story that I wrote.
That I renamed.
Yes, you did.
Because I couldn't stop calling it without what I named it.
That's okay.
What did you call it?
I called it the Skinwalker.
Oh, I called it Nate Ersatz and the Skinwalkers.
Oh yeah, something like that. I don't know. It's a story about the guy and the Skinwalker.
And they walk on skin.
Yeah, oh yeah, all the time. Well, everybody does when you think about it, because we all have feet and they're made of skin, unless you wear shoes on them. And then,
but there's still skin walking on. I mean, it's not flat, no matter what.
Totally right. You're totally right.
I think you have to rewrite the whole story now.
Oh, not
story
again.
all about feet.
Okay, I could do that. That's kind of gross and awesome. I love feet. I don't. You know what I mean? Not like everybody's gonna take that out of context. Like,
Greg's got a foot fetish.
He loves plates and feet. Everybody give him all those things.
So Question for you about your story specifically.
Yes.
What was your inspiration for writing this specific Skinwalker story, and why in the 80s?
Why in the 80s? Well, okay, the 80s is an awesome place. We're standing here in the back room of my wife and my store, the Retro Emporium, downtown Kent, Washington, where we love everything 80s, 80s, 80s. But the thing is I mean, I grew up in that time frame. I love that stuff. I love everything about it. The music was great. The hair was awesome. The clothes was cool. Look at what I'm got. Yeah, I know, right? Awesome. But
Except for the mullets. I'm not going to say the mullets were awesome, okay?
have you seen my mullet pictures?
I have to now.
Yeah, you do. They're awesome.
Why is that not your picture for this book?
It can be. I got myself in a tank top t-shirt, some nunchucks, my mullet and mustache.
What's great is it's probably unironically. Just like you just love it.
I just do. I always wanted to get an IROC so I could just like hang.
I used to want an IROC when I was a kid. I wanted a blue IROC.
You too?
I had a little Hot Wheel one. I was like, this is my dream car.
The IROC and the mullet and the mustache and but then
I didn't want a mustache. I wanted a goatee.
Oh, I had the goatee thing, but I would grew this really great looking mustache, and then everybody just said I look like Ned Flanders with a mullet.
That's not a good look.
It's not a good look. It's not.
So anyways, no. Why this story? Why Skinwalkers?
Skinwalkers, man. Okay, so I mean, to preface things, if you don't know too much about the things that I've written in the past, I love writing things that are kind of spooky and eerie. Skinwalkers stories from just all around are just spooky and scary because you've got this Native American idea of like these witches or beings that are people that take on different shapes and they shapeshift and form and they do things, and it's kind of spooky and scary. Did some research on the Skinwalker Ranch, and just all the things that
Not Skywalker Ranch.
No. But Skinwalker Ranch with Skywalkers. But it's just like all that stuff that's happened in that place is just spooky and scary, and it's just kind of neat. So to put one of these characters in a situation where they see something like this and they have to figure out how to deal with it. And I mean, I like writing kids books and kids stories, and this is like, not to spoil anything, but it's got a young people dealing with running into this kind of situation, and it's
Very much not a kid story though.
no, definitely not. It's a little sidestep from things I've done in the past.
which is great because I mean I love the story, and originally I was going to draw this like everything else,
excited.
but I decided I'm sorry I've crushed your dreams here.
No, I know,
but
it's all right.
I decided, obviously, as I said before many times in this show talking about this book, the best way. Oh, you have a grilled cheese toaster?
I do.
Oh my god,
Dude, they're so awesome. The grilled cheese toaster, you put the bread, the cheese, you put it in there, you melt it together. It makes a sandwich. You make the soup in the microwave.
I feel like we could do a whole episode just walking around your shop and talking about what you have here.
I know. Oh, it's broken.
Anyways,
No, the
so
grilled cheese toaster is not broken. It's a little ding dong bell.
oh, ding dong. Anyway, so I was going to draw your story, but I decided to actually get this book out and to make it the best I could, bring in some other artists to help tell stories with me, and I ended up finding a great guy on Twitter, JP Schiek, Schiek, Scheick,
Yes.
Schiek, who draws. He actually got me to buy an iPad Pro, and because he does everything on iPad Pro.
Dude.
And I sent you. You've only seen a couple of things he's done. What do you think of how he's interpreting your story?
Not to crush your dreams, but I'm pretty glad you paired us up because it's awesome. I
I am too. He's doing better than I think I could have done on this story.
Yeah, no, the artistic style that he's putting together with the storytelling that I have marries up really nice, and it's very spooky, scary art in that sense of like you read it and you're like, oh, there's a little tinge of dark in there.
He definitely got the creep factor on the Skinwalkers in the story. So you listening out there have that to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So not to spoil anything for future stuff of this, because I'm not gonna say how this one ends, but you're working on a somewhat sequel of this.
Yeah. I work on a sequel. Actually bringing in a friend of mine. If you followed my history in the past, I have a buddy David who's helped. If you come and see me at shows and stuff like that, he's there and stuff, and he's been writing his own stuff, and we're gonna team up, and we got this really fun idea of an idea of this Nate Ersatz going through and being a little more grown up.
Yeah. It's It's funny because I'm going to go ahead and say this now for the first time, really. And I'm not going to say details on it, but kind of say how this came about because I think it's hilarious. And,
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I won't say names, though.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny because you wrote your story based upon another story.
Yes.
And that story had to be taken out.
Yes.
So then you're writing the replacement to it.
Yes.
So it's kind of poetic how this all happened in some way.
Yeah. No, it's so weird because like when you came to me with the original story idea, and I was like, okay, cool, I can write a pre-story to that and give you an idea how this guy ended up like this, and then that things happen, that story's no longer in the book, and then I'm like, okay, well, what do? We got to do a whole entire 720 because it's not a 180 and it's not a 360.
No.
I can't pull a 900. I'm not Tony Hawk. So
Not at all.
yeah, so I got to go 720, and we go and we drop this fun story where it's everything that you like from the first story and a little bit more.
And I have a feeling it's going to be a better story than the first one I take out too.
I don't.
That's my opinion, though. I haven't read it yet. I just trust you as a writer, so.
Oh well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. I hope it will be good.
Yeah, well. Greg, thank you for writing a story.
What?
Writing 2 stories.
2 stories?
All the help you've done promoting the Kickstarter book.
Oh, dude, I can't believe that we're doing it.
It's as of recording this, it's funded. It's gonna come out.
What?
Yeah.
I know, like last night in the middle of the night, and everybody's like, oh my God. My phone was blowing up, and it was like, oh my God.
What's hilarious is like I was out in Seattle with Kaylee and some friends last night, and we were at the Smith Tower, right? And then we went from there to the lodge, and it was just, my phone was just blowing up the whole time. And then like right before it got funded, I got like 7 or 8 messages from various people being like, dude, you're almost there, $40 left or whatever. And I was like, holy shit.
I know Travis is like, just, oh my gosh, guys, oh my gosh. And like, Greg. I'm like, oh, Travis.
It was great. And then my buddy from work is messaging me. I got people texting me. I have people messaging this. I mean, I was not realizing how many people were watching this thing to make sure, and it makes me more excited to get this one done and get the next one out too.
Yeah, because people were following it, they're watching it, they're talking about it with their friends and stuff like that, sharing it. Indie comics, horror comics family, all out there and all doing, making sure that this is happening. So it's getting spread out there on all those different fronts, and it's really cool to see how everybody's pushing to see the next thing.
Yeah, I just hope it lives up to their expectations and it comes out as solid as we all think it's going to be.
I know there's one story in there that's not gonna do it, and that's mine.
The one that I wrote.
No, it's mine.
Yours is great though.
Oh, well, thank you.
My story is going to be hard because the story that I'm drawing for the book.
Yeah, but you wrote like 4 stories.
I only wrote 3 in this book.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say 2, but then the one I'm talking about right now is a 3rd one. But it's the story that takes place between all the stories.
Oh, yeah.
So it's one story. It's a narrative that kind of weaves.
Yeah.
So I have that challenge on myself.
It's like the Vanilla Sky story.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh my God.
If you have trouble, call tech support.
Yeah, right.
Which was the joke I stole out of that movie from my comic strip like years after I saw it. I was like, oh, it's a great joke. I just straight stole it to the comic strip.
Oh man, every time I think that we're doing this though, I always wonder if we're really on Shutter Island.
Probably. I mean,
Oh God, we're dead.
ah, shit.
It happened again.
All right, thank you. And that's where you end it. So, first question is, can you tell me who you are and where you're from?
Yeah, my name's Jeremiah Schiek. I operate professionally under J. Paul Schiek some of the time. Currently living in Southern California. Grew up in Northern California, but basically California all my life. Kind of miss it up there, though. Down here is pretty hostile.
What part of Northern California were you in?
Gold Country area, kind of between Sacramento and Tahoe.
Okay. Yeah, my best friend lives in Redding. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's a bit north of where I was at. But yeah, just took 5 south to just take 80 up a little ways toward Tahoe.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with Auburn, that area.
Yeah.
That's where I went to high school.
Oh, you did? Nice. My buddy's in Redding, and I go to visit him sometimes. And it's always in the summertime when it's like 118 degrees there, and I'm like, this is too damn hot.
Oh, God.
I cannot, how do you live here?
Yeah, anything that's in the yeah. Where I was at was like 3,000 foot level, so we at least got seasons. It would get pretty hot, but nowhere near as hot as the valley. Yeah,
so if you're up higher, or towards the water, you're fine, but not in the valley. This sucks there.
Yeah, no, it stays hot there. Like, and my parents live down there closer to Sacramento now, and it's you can go out like 3 a.m. and it's still 90 degrees out.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm from Seattle, so I don't like hot weather at all.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about your art background, your comics background?
Yeah. I've been into comics pretty much as long as I can remember. I mean, back early 90s, I was stapling sheets of construction paper together and making my own comics.
Nice.
Kind of grew up at that time when a lot of the artists were leaving Marvel and DC and creating Image. I mean, I can still remember buying comics before Image even existed.
Nice. Me too.
And I like the old days. I'm like, where did Mark Silvestri go when I went to pick up a copy of Wolverine? Or, like, where's Rob Liefeld on X-Force and all those? And, okay, so they're doing Youngblood and Cyberforce and all that. And it's kind of, I'm back into it probably heavier than I ever was as a kid, which is kind of weird for a guy who's almost 40. But
dude, I'm the same way though. I'm 36 and I'm more into comics now than I ever have in my entire life.
Yeah, no, it's like I got the money for it now. It's like back then I had like a $20 a month allowance from my dad. It was like you had to pick and choose. But
yeah. Now it's like, I can afford to buy what I want to buy. Sweet.
Yeah, that part's been pretty great.
Yeah,
and then but yeah, I've been drawing pretty much even before I was into comics. I used to have to go to work with my mom. She owned her own hair salon, and I just hang out underneath her desk cash register area and basically burn up all the scrap paper that she had drawing dinosaurs and stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember as a kid I used to take for some reason I always chose green construction paper to make my comics on. I have no idea why, but I always chose like the nasty green construction paper and like would fold them in half and like make comic covers and like stupid ass comics inside of them, and then it'd all be in pencil because I didn't know how to do inking back then or coloring. I was like terrible with colors, so I just did all these really shitty pencil comics on green paper, which didn't last because obviously it's crappy paper with pencil on it.
Yeah, I used to draw mine in like ballpoint. Green is good though because you get you get a bright like primary color with it, but it gives you a bit more contrast than you get with like red or purple or dark blue, where you're like really squinting to see the drawing on there.
Well, this wasn't even like primary green. This was like a nasty like forest green paper. I don't know why. It's what I had. I was like 10, so man, I didn't know any better.
Yeah, that's cool.
So let's talk about the story you worked on a little bit. You're still working on right now. What was your first impression of the story when you first read the script and got into it?
I really got the sense of something bigger. It kind of like it feels like an oblique stroke in a really big picture.
Yeah.
I felt a very strong sense that, okay, there's something that comes before this. And, with how the little chapter that I'm doing ends, I'm like, okay, there's more that comes after this.
Yeah.
There is.
The story you're drawing, definitely that Greg wrote, has a sequel to it that tells more, but it kind of jumps a little bit. So the next story in that little piece takes place like 20 years later.
Okay, cool. It was like, I'm just like visualizing the skin changer character. Like they're a lot more curious than I would be. I would have been like slapping the nope button. Like nope,
nope.
I'm not going into a restaurant kitchen with that.
Right. And it's a fun script. Greg's a great writer. I was really happy that he decided to come on board and do this. And then I ended up talking. I think I talked to you on Twitter at first. I put a tweet out or something. We kind of met on Twitter, I believe. Yeah. To date, all the comic book jobs I've gotten, without exception, have come through Twitter. Nice. Twitter's great then, because I have found so many great people on Twitter that like you that I've ended up working with, which is awesome. But I remember I sent you the script and we were talking about getting you on board and getting all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and you sent over that first here's a rough of the first page real quick, and that was like the editor Casey and I were like, we saw that first page and we're like, nope, we're sold. We have to get this guy to do this story because it was just nailed.
Oh man, I'm flattered. Thank you.
Yeah, the tone of how you did it, the way, even though it was like a sketchy sketch, like it still came through as this is going to turn out to be fantastic. And then, later on we ended up talking about having you do colors for it. You sent me a sample of some of the colors you do, and I was like, no, it's going to be perfect because the way that the tones you use and like it's not like super, super detailed colors, but it's detailed enough that gives the impression of what you're looking at. And that's exactly what I wanted for the story.
Awesome. Yeah, colors for me have been kind of a tricky part. I did a webcomic a couple of years ago, and it was like full color, everything. And I was finding like, God, it's taking me like 2 weeks to turn on a single page. And I ran through my buffer, and then I ended up dropping it probably about a year or so ago. I just couldn't keep up with putting up pages. And more recently, I've been kind of relying on color psychology.
Yeah.
You know, doing kind of like painting the whole panel one color and then individually coloring certain elements to sort of enforce story points like who's in control here, you know, the shifts of power and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because you talk about webcomics. I did webcomics for like 13 years and it's a grind.
Oh, wow.
And it's turning out a page. And I'm kind of insane when it comes to producing stuff. I was doing 7 different webcomics, pushing them out once a day, one a day, you know, and I killing myself doing that. It was just, you know, ridiculous. And, I got tired of the grind, to be honest. And, I retired, quote unquote, retired from webcomics in 2016. But, anybody who says, you know, I was doing webcomics, I'm like, yep, you know, the struggle of trying to put out a page a week or a page, however long. And you get a little instant gratification when someone like retweets it or talks about it and stuff, but you never.
It's like when you hear like a vet mentions like one specific town in Vietnam, and it's like, oh, yep, they know.
Yep. Oh, you get it. So, speaking of process, you talked a little bit about your process there with kind of like getting through stuff. What was your process for tackling this story? Like, how do you go about doing this?
I tend to one of two ways. I like to read through the whole script all the way through, and in some cases, you know, depending on how the script is written, if like the writer has put in, you know, like page 1, panel 1, just to let you know this character dies in the last panel of page 7 or something like that, where the spoilers are kind of up front, which this one wasn't so much, but sometimes I like to, I'll kind of keep abreast of the script and draw as I read after a single read through versus, you know, kind of really digesting it with multiple readings.
Right.
Anymore, though, I find that I need to do at least 2 or 3 readings of a script because there's inevitably some very small piece that I missed, even if it's just like the difference between an and or a but in a sentence. It's like, oh, okay. It changes, you know, dramatically what can happen there. Right. But I tend to go pretty much just straight on, almost like, I'd say like proscenium stage sort of visualization of it, kind of cinematic, and then from there, like as I'm kind of drawing things out, you know, it's there'll be points where I'll want to just kind of sleep on an idea for a day or two if I'm not really feeling the drawing that's coming out of it.
Right.
And you know, doing that, it's like I'll wake up one morning like, oh my God, low angle shot, and then it changes it, and there it is. But
it's amazing how well, like I work in a tech, but I'm a program manager for a software company in my day job, you know. But it's amazing. It's amazing how well distraction can work to. Hold on, I know Flash is in the shed, right?
No, Flash is in the shed, but he's like
I know.
on the top.
I'll get him after this. I know he does it all the time. My cat got out and he's hiding in our shed. So.
Oh, okay.
But he does it all the time. I know where he's at. I just have to go out and get him. But they're like, my kids are like, we found him. Like, I know where he's at. I know exactly where he's going to go. He goes to the shed and he gets up in the rafters and he hangs out there till I go get him. So whatever. God, what the hell was I saying before she walked in? I lost my train of thought completely.
That's all right. I'm like, where? So we were talking about was it camera angles or sleeping on an idea for a little bit? And
I'm by my day job. I'm a program manager, and it's amazing because what I do is I solve problems. Right, I find new ways to do things for the software we have, and have our developers work those in for business needs. But what's amazing is how much work I get done by not doing work. Like I distract myself with something else, like working on a comic book or reading something, and all of a sudden I go, "Oh shit, I need to do this." And then I'll go back to work, and I get all of my ideas for what I'm doing while I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, pretty much. And it happens. For creative.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, it happens when I'm writing too. I'll start writing, I'll get stuck, so I'll just go do something else. I'll go play Spider-Man on the PS4, and all of a sudden I'll go, "Oh shit, this needs to go here," and I'll stop playing, and go write, and start writing it down. You know, it happens all the time.
Yeah, you know, rather than push it to, you know, something that you'll be, you know, less satisfied with, especially if you put all the work into drawing it or writing it or whatever it is. It's like, this idea is better, but I already spent like 2 hours doing this idea, and then, you know, it can't be the best that it could be.
Right. Now you're doing this whole thing on an iPad, right?
Yes.
You know, that's cool because like because of talking with you when I first met you online, I actually ended up getting an iPad Pro and an Apple Pencil to draw on and to play with, which is pretty
nice.
Fun. My wife stole it from me and she uses it for school, which is totally fine, but I still use it here and there. And actually, the story that I'm drawing in this book, which is like the one that I'm actually drawing, is the story that takes place between the other stories. right?
Okay.
So each story, there's a page between that kind of like connects things and tells background information.
Okay, cool.
And that whole thing, those 9 pages, so far I'm doing all of them on the iPad Pro.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working on the iPad for like even just regular narrative illustration since the iPad 2. I would just do my drawings on paper and then take a picture of it with the iPad and, import the picture and paint over the top.
Oh, it's cool.
But now that, with the palm resistance on it is pretty much perfect. I can draw better on the iPad than I can on paper at this point.
And Procreate is such a great app. So
yeah.
worth it. I have Procreate and I have Clip Studio on there, I use both of them, which is great.
Yeah, Clip Studio. I keep wanting to learn that one. I'm just like, it seems like too new of a trick for this old dog, but
it's cool because I'm more accustomed to the painting, like how Clip Studio manages paintbrushes and stuff, and how it mixes paint when you draw. Procreate does it a little differently, and I'm not quite used to that yet. So I find myself using Procreate for certain things, then exporting it over to Clip Studio, then to do some finalized painting stuff on top of it. Gotcha.
Yeah, I do. I use another graphic, the Autodesk one. I use that for creating panels, and I'll bounce them back and forth.
Yeah,
sometimes
a good app too.
I like. It's been. I mean, in the past, I think it was a little better before Autodesk bought it because it did a lot of the stuff that Illustrator would do, like subtraction and uniting shapes.
Right.
If it's still in there, I have no idea where to find it, but it doesn't seem like it's there anymore.
I don't think it is. I think they took some stuff out when they bought it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though. They Procreate though, that one, I remember using that one. It was really just a toy. It had some nice brushes and did some cool effects. But I'm like, And right around 2012, it got like that kind of Photoshop looking makeover, and I haven't really used anything else since.
I think it's just funny they call it Procreate because I don't think of drawing when I think of procreation,
Yeah, and I get weird looks when people ask me what I use to draw. What was the name of that app again? Like everybody always asks twice because they're like, he couldn't have said that.
Yeah, that can't be what it's called. I got one more question for you to end this out today. It's kind of a fun one. You can feel free to pass if you don't want to say anything. But do you have a scary story you can tell us?
The only one that comes immediately to mind is this: your taxes. They're due April 15th.
It's funny. I work for a tax company. I work for a sales tax company.
I'm hanging up. No,
shit, I'm out.
No, I was just kidding.
No, it's funny. Taxes are, don't turn. We always do ours super early. Our taxes are be done like next week.
And we need to, our taxes this year are a little bit interesting. So it looks like we're going to need to get a professional involved. Last year, I ended up not doing things quite right. And we ended up with a $5,000 tax bill midway through the year, which was neat. Yeah. Still waiting for the state to catch up with us on the other half of it. But
it's no fun.
But scary story wise, man, it's like Easter, right? A lot of horror.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, off the top of my head, I can't even think of one right now. I feel like
that's fine. We can come back to it later. I'm sure we'll talk again,
All right.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you even more for being a part of this project. It's part of this insane idea that I had 2.5 years ago. And
my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and it's finally going to come out, and it's finally going to be able to see the light of day. So, and thanks for your time today too.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I was actually working on it just a couple hours ago in class. I've got a few more hours before my next one that I'm teaching here, and I'll be doing a bit more.
Awesome. I can't wait to see the finalized product.